The Galactic Council laughed. To them, it was a harmless joke, a small amusement in the endless politics of the stars. They would send the alien princess, Lysara, to a remote human colony. She was known across her people as brilliant, elegant, and unable to have children. For her species, that was shameful. For the Council, it was perfect entertainment. "She will return humiliated," one counselor said, smirking. "And humans will be confused." "Exactly," another replied. "Send her as a test. Let's see how she handles primitive humans." Lysara stood silently in the grand hall of her homeworld's palace. She was draped in flowing robes that shimmered like liquid silver, her hair braided in intricate patterns that took hours to perfect. She had been told this mission was a diplomatic visit, an opportunity to observe humans. But she knew the truth. The Council had no respect for her. She was to be a joke. And yet, her sharp mind refused to panic. Lysara had faced challenges before. She had navigated political storms, tricky negotiations, and countless intrigues. She would survive this one too, even if it meant dealing with humans. The journey through the void was quiet. Lysara's vessel was small but comfortable. She watched the stars slide by like streaks of light. Her thoughts were calm, but a faint unease lingered. Humans were unpredictable. She had read reports, studied data, and listened to stories, but no report could truly capture what humans were. When the ship touched down on the rocky plains of the human colony, Lysara stepped onto the landing platform with poise. The air was thin but breathable. The sky was a pale blue, and the sun burned warmly on her skin. Around her, the humans moved with casual energy, their clothing practical and rough. Their faces showed curiosity and alertness, not fear or respect. A young human approached. He was tall, with dark hair and bright eyes, wearing a uniform that looked part engineer, part explorer. He carried tools in a belt across his waist. Lysara noticed the calm confidence in his movements, the way he scanned his surroundings carefully. "Welcome to our colony," he said. His voice was steady, polite, but with a subtle warmth. "I'm Kale. I'll be your guide while you're here." Lysara studied him. He was ordinary, she thought, yet there was something in his posture, in his eyes, that told her he could handle more than he seemed. Perhaps humans were more complex than the Council believed. "Thank you," she replied, her voice smooth, measured. "I expect your people to treat me with the respect due a royal visitor." Kale's eyes twitched slightly, but he hid it quickly. "Of course. I'll show you everything. The colony is safe, and our people will welcome you." As they walked, Lysara observed everything. The colony was simple but functional. Buildings were low, made from local stone and metals, reinforced with human ingenuity rather than luxury. Humans worked with machines, engines, and devices that whirred and clanked. It was messy, chaotic even, compared to the polished perfection of her world. And yet she felt something odd, a sense of life, energy, and purpose she could not ignore. Kale noticed her attention and smiled faintly. "You'll get used to it. Humans aren't elegant like your people, but we get things done." Lysara raised an eyebrow. "And what if we fail?" Kale laughed softly. "We find a way. We always do." They reached a large hall where other humans gathered. They looked at her with cautious curiosity. Some whispered, some stared openly. Lysara noticed the absence of fear. No one bowed deeply or trembled. It was refreshing. That evening, a banquet was held. Humans offered foods she had never seen before: spices, grains, roasted meats, and fruits with strange textures and colors. Lysara tasted carefully. The flavors were bold, sometimes strange, but they pleased her senses. She had never thought, She would enjoy such simplicity. Kale watched her from across the table. He noted the small movements, the way her fingers touched the food lightly, the way her eyes followed the human workers moving in the hall. She was alert, assessing, curious. Not arrogant, not dismissive, curious. Later, when the banquet ended, Kyle guided her to her quarters. "You will have your own space, of course. Rest well. Tomorrow I will show you the colony's workshops and farms." Lysara nodded. "I expect to learn much about your species. After all, the Council seems to think humans are primitive." Kyle shrugged. "We may be primitive, but we survive. That counts for something." As Lysara settled into her room, she looked out at the human settlement. The wind stirred the dust. Fires burned in small hearths. Humans moved about, working, laughing, living. She could not help but feel a spark of curiosity, perhaps even admiration. For the first time, she wondered if the Council had underestimated these humans. Perhaps this was no ordinary colony. Perhaps there was more to them than anyone had expected. And perhaps her mission would not be so simple after all. As night fell, Lysara stared at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Council watched, waiting for her failure. She would not fail, not now, not with humans around her. For the first time in her life, Lysara allowed herself a small, cautious hope. The joke had begun, but the story was far from over. The next morning, the sun rose over the dusty human colony. Lysara stepped out of her quarters, adjusting the flowing silver robes that felt almost heavy in the dry wind. The humans moved around her, working, talking, and laughing as if the world was simple. But she knew survival was never simple. Kale greeted her at the entrance. "Good morning, Princess. Today, I'll show you how humans live, work, and create. Some things may surprise you." Lysara tilted her head, her sharp eyes studying him. "I doubt anything will surprise me. I have read every report available on human colonies." Kale smiled. "Reports don't show everything. Their first stop was the workshops. Humans were busy repairing machines, building devices, and testing small vehicles that rumbled across the rocky ground. Sparks flew from welding torches, and the air smelled of metal, oil, and effort. Lysara's nose wrinkled slightly. She was used to the refined scents of her palace. Flowers, perfumes, and polished stone. This was raw. "Why do you use these crude machines?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Surely more advanced methods exist." Kyle shrugged. "We use what works. Perfection isn't necessary when survival depends on speed, creativity, and teamwork." Lysara watched as humans moved with surprising coordination. Some carried heavy metal parts without cranes. Others repaired engines in ways she had never imagined. Sparks didn't harm them. Mistakes didn't stop them. Each human seemed to know instinctively what to do, how to improvise, how to fix problems no one could predict. A young boy tripped and dropped a metal rod. Lysara expected anger or frustration, but the boy laughed. Another human quickly picked it up, helping him continue. Lysara felt an unfamiliar warmth. There was something human that she had never seen in her royal courts: resilience, patience, and trust. After the workshops, Kale led her to the farms. The land was rocky, barely fertile, yet humans had carved gardens, hydroponic plots, and small livestock pens. Their methods were simple but ingenious. Water was recycled carefully. Plants were arranged to maximize growth. Livestock was protected with smart designs rather than magic or machines. "They survive here with almost nothing," Lysara observed. "And yet they thrive." Kyle nodded. "Humans adapt. We may not be elegant, but we last. That's our strength." Lysara walked among the farmers. A small child offered her a piece of fruit. She accepted it, curious about its taste. It was sweet, juicy, unlike anything from her world. She had expected it to taste bland. Instead, she felt something she had not felt in a long time: wonder. As the day passed, Lysara saw more examples of human ingenuity. They repaired broken water channels with scrap materials. They built wind-powered devices to pump water. They navigated treacherous terrain with little more than clever tools and coordination. "You are surprising," Lysara admitted quietly to Kale during a pause. "Reports suggested humans are weak, unorganized, and emotional. Yet you display intelligence, courage, and determination." Kale grinned. "Determination keeps us alive. Intelligence keeps us strong. And yes, sometimes emotion helps too. Humans are messy, but it works." Lysara smiled faintly. It was not a full smile, but Kale noticed it. For the first time, he felt she might be genuinely interested in humans, not just tolerating them. The real test came in the afternoon. A sudden sandstorm swept across the colony. The wind howled, whipping dust and debris across the streets. Humans shouted warnings and rushed to secure structures, cover livestock, and move machinery to safety. Lysara was startled by the chaos, yet she noticed the calm efficiency beneath it. "Follow me!" Kyle shouted over the wind. "We need to check the water supply and shelter. If the storm gets worse, some areas could flood." Lysara ran beside him, keeping her robes from tangling in the gusts. She was trained for emergencies, but the humans moved differently: fast, coordinated, flexible. She realized that their intelligence was practical, not theoretical. They solved problems as they appeared, without hesitation. When they reached the central water supply, a broken pipe sprayed water everywhere. Lysara instinctively analyzed the situation, suggesting a way to redirect the water and prevent waste. Kyle raised an eyebrow, impressed. Together they worked with several humans, patching the pipe quickly and efficiently. "You think quickly," Kale said. "You might fit in here better than you realize." Lysara paused, considering. She had expected humans to be simple, emotional, and inefficient. Yet in crisis they were strong, brave, and inventive. She had underestimated them. By evening, the storm passed. The colony had suffered minor damage, but everyone was safe. Humans celebrated quietly, checking on neighbors and helping repair structures. Lysara watched, feeling a strange sense of connection. She had never seen such mutual care in her royal courts, where appearances mattered more than survival. As she returned to her quarters with Kale, Lysara admitted, "Humans are remarkable." "I had not expected this." Kale smiled faintly. "And tomorrow you'll see even more. Humans are full of surprises." For the first time, Lysara felt curiosity, not just observation. She wanted to know how these humans lived, how they thought, and why they endured so much with so little. A small spark of respect, perhaps even admiration, flickered in her mind. The Council's joke was supposed to be simple. Send a childless princess to a human colony, have her fail, and return humiliated. But Lysara was beginning to see that this joke might have unexpected consequences. Perhaps humans were not so primitive, after all, and perhaps Lysara's mission would not go as anyone had planned. The next morning, the air was crisp, and the colony hummed with activity. Lysara stepped outside her quarters, her silver robes catching the sunlight. She had begun to notice small things she had never expected: how humans worked together without strict orders, how they laughed even when tired, and how their eyes held quiet determination. Kale was waiting for her at the edge of the settlement. "Good morning, Princess. Today I'll show you something different: our exploration routes and the wildlands around us." Lysara raised an eyebrow. "Exploration? Surely you have maps." Kyle shook his head. "Maps only tell part of the story. You have to experience it." They set out on foot, moving past the colony's borders into the rocky terrain. Humans had built small bridges, rope supports, and markers along dangerous paths. Lysara admired the clever simplicity of it all. Unlike her species, humans did not rely on grand machines for every task. They used their minds, their hands, and their courage. As they walked, Kyle spoke quietly. Humans are messy, yes. Emotional, yes. But we adapt, we endure, and we care for each other. That is why we survive. Lysara listened carefully, studying his face. She had expected humans to be chaotic and weak, but Kale's words carried truth. She found herself wondering about him, the humans, and why they had grown so strong despite their small numbers and limited technology. They reached a narrow cliff path overlooking a valley. Below, rivers of silver ran between jagged rocks, and small groups of humans worked in fields or tended to animals. Lysara felt a strange pull in her chest. She had seen landscapes like this before, but never with life so full of persistence, struggle, and hope. Suddenly, a young boy ran past, laughing, chased by a dog that barked excitedly. Lysara smiled faintly. She had never heard such pure joy before. Kyle noticed. They find happiness in little things, he said. We don't have much, but we make the most of it. Lysara nodded slowly. There was something admirable in this simplicity. Her people chased perfection, ceremony, and prestige. Humans chased survival, achievement, and connection. Perhaps, she thought, one way was not better than the other, just different. Later, they reached a small grove where the humans had built a research station. Lysara observed as engineers tested simple devices to measure soil quality and water flow. Kale explained their methods, and she listened closely. His explanations were clear, practical, and full of insight. You understand quickly, Kale said, glancing at her. Most outsiders take longer to see why we do things this way. Lysara considered his words. She had been trained to analyze, judge, and manipulate. But Kale's human way of thinking was different, creative, flexible, and grounded in real experience. She realized she was learning more than she expected. As the day went on, Lysara began to confide small things about herself. I have never been able to have children, she said quietly as they rested near a stream. For my people, it is a shame. For me, it is a quiet sorrow. Kyle looked at her thoughtfully. I do not know your people, princess, but humans have many kinds of families. Children are one way, but not the only way to leave a legacy. Courage, knowledge, kindness, these endure too. Lysara studied his face. There was no judgment, no pity, only understanding. She felt something she had not felt in a long time. Trust. Their conversation was interrupted by the sudden arrival of a wild animal. A small, aggressive creature with sharp teeth appeared, cornered by Kale and the path. Lysara instinctively moved to intervene. Using her knowledge of alien strategy, she helped guide the humans to trap it safely without harm. Kale's eyes widened slightly. You act fast and smart. Most outsiders would have panicked. Lysara shrugged. Experience teaches caution. Observation teaches efficiency. After the creature was safely relocated, they continued their walk. Lysara found herself talking more freely. She shared stories of her palace, her duties, and her species' customs. Kyle listened patiently, asking questions and offering insights about human life. For the first time, Lysara felt like she could speak without the weight of judgment. By evening, they returned to the colony. The sky blazed with colors as the sun set behind the rocky hills. Humans gathered around fires, sharing food, stories, and laughter. Lysara watched quietly, fascinated by the warmth and camaraderie. Kale turned to her. "Do you see? Even when life is hard, humans find ways to connect, to celebrate, to care for each other." Lysara nodded. "It is admirable. I have never seen such resilience and joy combined." For the first time, she allowed herself a small smile. Kale noticed, and it seemed to brighten his own mood. Something unspoken passed between them, an acknowledgement of mutual respect, curiosity, and perhaps the beginnings of trust. Later, when Lysara returned to her quarters, she stared at the stars through the window. The council had expected her to dismiss humans as simple, unworthy, and flawed. Yet the humans she had seen today were clever, brave, and compassionate. They were not perfect, but their imperfections made them strong. Lysara allowed herself a thought she had never dared. Perhaps humans were not the joke the council believed. Perhaps they were extraordinary in ways her people could not understand. And perhaps Kyle, with his calm strength and insight, was proof of something greater hidden within humanity. The mission, which was supposed to be simple, had already grown complicated. Lysara realized that her time with humans would change more than the council expected. It would change her as well. She settled onto her bed, thinking about the day. The humans laughed, worked, and survived. They faced danger with courage. They loved with simplicity and intensity, and in their strange, chaotic ways, they were remarkable. For the first time, Lysara wondered what it would mean to truly understand humans, and perhaps to belong among them. The joke had begun, yes, but it was no longer one-sided. Humans were more than a test. They were a force she could not ignore, and Lysara, for the first time, was not sure who would laugh last. The day began quietly, but Lysara felt an unusual tension in the air. Birds flew in strange patterns, and the humans moved with sharp awareness. Kyle met her at the edge of the colony with a serious expression. "Princess," he said, "we have a problem. Scouts report an approaching alien faction. They are known for raiding small settlements, and they might be after you." Lysara's eyes narrowed. "After me? Why?" Kyle hesitated. "Your people are politically important, and some factions see you as a prize or a weapon. The council might not approve, but these aliens will act anyway." Lysara felt a twinge of irritation. She had been sent to humans as a joke, and now that joke might put everyone in danger. But she quickly composed herself. "Then we must prepare. Show me what you have." Kale led her to the command center, a small open building filled with screens, maps, and tactical devices. Humans moved with swift efficiency, communicating in clear, precise language. Despite the colony's small size, Lysara could see their coordination rivaled that of any military she had known. "Humans plan differently," Kyle explained. "We use strategy, improvisation, and surprise. Machines help, but thinking is the most powerful tool." Lysara studied the plans. She noticed small, clever traps, hidden escape routes, and signals that could confuse even a larger force. She pointed out adjustments based on her alien knowledge of tactics, and Kale nodded, impressed. "Not bad," he said quietly. "You might fit in here better than the council thought." As the sun reached its peak, scouts confirmed the enemy was close. Dark ships appeared on the horizon, strange designs unlike anything Lysara had seen. They moved with deadly precision, their weapons ready. The humans mobilized quickly. Men and women took positions, setting up barricades, defensive turrets, and energy fields. Lysara moved with them, offering guidance where she could. Her presence boosted morale, though she herself was aware of the danger. "Princess, we will need your insight," Kyle said. "The enemy's movements are unusual. Your experience might give us an advantage." Lysara analyzed the incoming fleet. Their patterns were aggressive but predictable. Using human ingenuity combined with her strategic knowledge, she suggested subtle adjustments, decoys, ambush points, and trap sequences. Kale implemented her suggestions immediately. When the first alien ship descended, humans were ready. Energy barriers flared, and turrets fired precise blasts. The alien ship faltered, caught in traps Lysara had helped design. For a moment, she allowed herself a small, private thrill. She had contributed to this defense, despite being the supposed joke. The battle continued. More ships descended, but humans adapted quickly. Lysara noticed something strange about herself. As she observed the alien attackers and coordinated defenses, her senses felt sharper, her body reacting faster. She moved with unexpected agility, anticipating dangers almost instinctively. Kale noticed her skill. "Princess, you're extraordinary. Most people wouldn't survive this." Lysara felt a strange realization. Her biology, long thought limited, seemed to respond unusually near these humans. A flicker of hope, or curiosity, passed through her mind. Could humans influence her in ways no one had predicted? As the battle intensified, one alien ship broke through the perimeter, heading toward the colony's heart. Lysara and Kale moved together, coordinating defenses and rallying humans to intercept it. Using clever tactics, they redirected the ship, forcing it into a trap that neutralized it without mass destruction. When the last enemy ship retreated, the colony was damaged but intact. Humans moved quickly to repair structures, tend to the injured, and secure resources. Lysara watched in awe. These humans had faced deadly aliens with minimal casualties and no panic. They were remarkable. Kyle approached her. "You see, we endure, we adapt, we survive." Lysara nodded slowly. "I see. And these humans, are stronger than any report, any record could have shown. I underestimated them." Kale smiled faintly. "I told you, humans are full of surprises." Later, in the quiet of the evening, Lysara sat with Kyle near the colony's central fire. Smoke rose in the fading light, and humans shared food and stories. Despite the recent battle, their spirits remained strong. Lysara felt something she had never felt among her people: connection, warmth, and trust. "You fought well," Kyle said gently. "Not many could have survived today." Lysara looked at him, considering. "And yet, I did not fight alone. Your people. They are more than I imagined. I see now why the council underestimated them." Kale hesitated, then asked quietly, "Princess, do you think you could stay? Not just for now, but longer. Humans could teach you many things, and perhaps you could teach us too." Lysara felt a stir in her heart. She had never imagined she would feel drawn to humans, not just respect, but curiosity, and something deeper. She recalled the council's plan, the supposed joke, and now she realized the story had changed. This was no longer about mockery. A whisper of hope crossed her mind. Perhaps here, with humans, she could discover possibilities she had never dared to imagine. Perhaps even the part of herself long thought incomplete, the part her people saw as a flaw, might find life in unexpected ways. As the stars emerged, twinkling above the rocky plains, Lysara made a silent promise. She would explore these humans, learn from them, and see what her future could hold. The council had intended a joke. Instead, they had sparked a journey she could not ignore. The colony slept quietly around them, the humans weary but vigilant. Lysara looked at Kale, and for the first time, she allowed herself to hope that the story was no longer hers alone. It belonged to humans too. And somewhere deep within, she felt that the galaxy was about to witness something no one had expected. The colony was quiet in the morning light, but Lysara felt a storm within her. The council had sent a message demanding her immediate return. They expected obedience, and they expected her to leave humans behind. Kyle met her at the edge of the settlement. His expression was serious yet calm. "Princess, the council insists. They want you back. Now." Lysara shook her head slowly. "I am aware of their demands, but I will not leave these humans behind. They are not simple nor weak. They are remarkable." Kale studied her. "You really mean that?" Lysara's eyes held a strange intensity. "I do. And they have taught me things I never imagined: courage, ingenuity, loyalty, and hope." The council's envoy would arrive soon to transport her back. Lysara knew their patience was limited. Yet she also knew that if she returned empty-handed, she would lose more than freedom. She would betray the trust and bravery of the humans who had saved her and their colony. Preparations for departure began. Humans carried out their routines as usual, but a quiet tension hung in the air. Lysara walked with Kale through the workshops, farms, and streets, observing the life she had grown to admire. She felt a bond with these people, one that went beyond politics or duty. Kale spoke softly. "The council believes humans are beneath you, but they are not. They are strong, clever, and brave. And you see it." Lysara nodded. "I do. And I also see myself differently. Something has changed within me. I feel capable of things I once thought impossible." A subtle warmth spread through her, a strange, almost electric sensation that made her pause. Lysara had always thought of herself as incomplete, destined to remain without a family or legacy. Yet here, with humans, she felt possibilities she had never known. Could it be that her biology, long thought incapable, was responding to the unique vitality of humans? The council envoy appeared, their ship sleek and cold, bristling with authority. The lead envoy stepped forward, his expression imperious. "Princess Lysara," he said sharply, "your presence here has caused embarrassment. You will return immediately. Your attachment to these humans is irrelevant. Obedience is required." Lysara met his gaze calmly. "I will not return. Not yet. And not without proof that humans are worthy of respect." The envoy faltered, surprised. "Do you dare defy the council?" "I do," Lysara said firmly. "I have seen humans face danger, survive, and protect life without the advantages of perfection or ceremony. I have witnessed courage and intelligence that surpasses what your reports claim. And I have learned that strength is not measured in status, but in action." Kyle stood beside her. "They protect their own. They adapt. They endure. Princess, the council cannot dictate what is real." A murmur ran through the humans nearby. For once, the princess and humans stood together, unshaken by the authority of the distant council. Lysara felt a surge of pride. She was no longer the helpless pawn of a political joke. She was a witness to human greatness, and she would not betray it. The envoy raised his hand. "This is insubordination. You will regret defying us." Lysara remained unflinching. "Perhaps, or perhaps you will learn that humans are not to be underestimated." As negotiations stalled, Lysara took Kale aside, lowering her voice. "There is something I must tell you, privately." Kale's brow furrowed. "What is it?" Lysara hesitated, then spoke in a quiet tone. "I feel changes, strange responses in my body. Perhaps humans have affected me in ways my people thought impossible. Perhaps I may be able to have children after all." Kale's eyes widened in surprise. He did not speak at once, simply letting the words sink in. Then he nodded slowly. "That would change everything." Lysara looked at him with steady eyes. It changes me, and it changes the choice I must make. I cannot return to a council that mocks life, to a species that values perfection over courage. I choose to remain here with humans and discover what is possible. The envoy's expression darkened. You dare defy the council and stay with these humans? I do, Lysara said firmly, and I will not be moved. Humans are extraordinary. I will not abandon them, nor myself. Kyle stepped forward, placing a hand on her shoulder. We will protect you, and together we will face whatever comes next. The humans around them nodded in agreement. Their loyalty was clear, their courage unshaken. Lysara felt a warmth she had never known, the feeling of being part of something greater, a community that valued action, honor, and life above status or expectation. The envoy's ships lifted off, their threat lingering but temporarily contained. Lysara watched them disappear into the sky. For now, she had won. She had chosen humanity over politics, courage over fear, and hope over despair. Later that evening, Lysara and Kyle walked through the colony. Children played under the fading light, farmers worked on last-minute repairs, and the humans shared quiet laughter. Lysara felt a deep connection to them, more than friendship, more than duty. I have made my choice, she said softly, and I will see it through no matter what. Kyle nodded, and we will be with you every step of the way. For the first time, Lysara allowed herself to imagine a future she had once thought impossible. Perhaps she could leave a legacy, not only through action and knowledge, but through life itself. Perhaps she could find fulfillment, family, and belonging among these humans who had already taught her so much. The stars shone above them, endless and bright. Lysara looked up, feeling a sense of hope and anticipation. The council had expected obedience, humiliation, and failure. Instead, they witnessed defiance, courage, and the first sparks of a story no one could have predicted. And somewhere deep within, Lysara knew the galaxy would remember this day. The day the princess chose humans. The day she defied expectation. And the day that a new possibility was born. Months passed, and the colony had grown stronger than ever. Lysara walked through the settlement, observing humans at work, play, and study. She no longer felt like a visitor. She belonged here. Their laughter, determination, and courage had become a part of her life. Kale met her at the edge of the settlement. Princess, I mean Lysara, he said gently, smiling. It has been months. How do you feel? Lysara looked around at the humans tending to crops, repairing machines, and caring for children. Her gaze softened. I feel alive, stronger than I have ever felt, and hopeful. Kyle's eyes widened slightly, sensing what she meant. Lysara had spoken carefully before, but now her words carried weight. Hopeful? He asked. Yes, she said quietly. There is something different within me, something I did not expect. Perhaps a new life may be possible. Kale's heart raced. He had suspected it, seen the subtle changes, but hearing it from her directly was profound. He reached out, gently taking her hand. If it is true, then the Council has underestimated more than just humans. They have underestimated you as, well, Lysara smiled, a true smile this time, warm and unguarded. I have learned much from your people, courage, resilience, and love. Perhaps these qualities allowed something I thought impossible to become real. The news spread quietly among the colony. Humans celebrated cautiously, knowing that life itself had become part of this extraordinary story. Lysara's presence had changed them as much as they had changed her. The Council had tried to control her destiny, but Lysara's choice had defied them. She remained with humans, teaching them, learning from them, and guiding them in ways her species never could. She was no longer a princess sent as a joke. She was a bridge between two worlds. Kyle led her to the central hall where humans gathered. Children ran around, laughing and playing, while adults repaired machines and discussed strategies to improve the colony. Lysara felt a deep connection to all of them. These people had welcomed her, fought alongside her, and respected her. "You have taught me much," Lysara said to the gathered humans. "And I have learned that courage and intelligence are not measured by perfection, status, or power, but by action, loyalty, and heart. You have all shown me this." The humans cheered softly, respecting her words but knowing the truth in them. Lysara's presence had inspired them as much as their presence had inspired her. Later, Kale took her to a quiet hill overlooking the colony. The sun set in brilliant colors, painting the sky with gold and red. Lysara rested her head against his shoulder. "I never imagined life could be like this," she said softly. "A life where I belong, where I am valued, and where something new is possible." Kyle squeezed her hand gently. "Humans are not perfect, but we endure. And together, we create possibilities." Lysara nodded, thinking of the journey she had traveled. From a pawn in a council's joke to a valued member of this colony, she had grown stronger, wiser, and more connected than she had ever imagined. And now, the spark of life within her symbolized not just hope for her, but hope for the union of two worlds. Word of Lysara's choice and her unexpected change spread slowly through the galaxy. The Council could no longer dismiss humans as weak or irrelevant. Aliens from nearby systems began to respect and even seek alliances with humanity. Humans were no longer primitive observers. They were partners, innovators, and protectors. In her quarters, Lysara looked out at the stars. Somewhere in the vast galaxy, those who had laughed at her plight now realized their error. Humanity had shown its strength, not just in survival, but in courage, compassion, and resilience. Kale joined her, standing quietly by her side. "They'll remember this," he said, "the day they underestimated humans, and the day humans proved them wrong." Lysara smiled, feeling the warmth of the human colony around her. She thought of the children playing, the engineers working, and the farmers tending the land. She had chosen a life with humans, a life full of potential, courage, and love. And now she would help shape the future, a future that would carry the legacy of humanity across the stars. Weeks later, whispers became confirmation. Lysara's unexpected change was real. A child would come. The colony celebrated not just for her, but for the symbol she had become, proof that humans could inspire, heal, and even create life in ways the galaxy never expected. Lysara and Kale walked among the colony hand in hand. Their bond had grown stronger through danger, discovery, and trust. The Council's joke had become a story of hope, courage, and unity. Humanity had been underestimated, and Lysara's presence had shown why. The stars above twinkled brightly, endless and full of promise. Lysara gazed at them, and then at the humans around her. She felt a deep sense of purpose. Her life was no longer defined by what she could not do, but by what she could create, protect, and inspire. And in that quiet moment, she knew the galaxy would never look at humans, or herself, the same way again. The joke had turned into a legacy, and the legacy was only just beginning.